Hi, my name is Jeff Livingston. I'm here with Kevin Barcellos. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Barcellos, but close enough.
Barcellos. I was
There
close.
you go.
I knew that the C was was the S version of that. And you're Senior Director of Client Services at Portal26. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Very cool. Where are you guys based out of?
We are based out of California.
Okay, very cool. So you guys are in the middle of the Gen AI adoption curve, and you're helping organizations adapt. Is that correct?
Yeah, so essentially, since ChatGPT first got announced back in
3
November
years ago,
2022,
Yeah.
Organizations have had to deal with a really fundamental question: what do we allow our users to do with these sites? Obviously, incredible productivity gains are promised, but with those productivity gains is some risk, specifically around data loss. And so organizations initially had to make a determination about whether they're going to allow their users to use generative AI at all. And a surprising number of them decided to initially block everything.
Right.
Now that proved pretty untenable.
Very reactive.
Very reactive, and the pressure, the user demand pressure built up in such a way, and as one CISO told us early on, if I don't build roads for my users to access generative AI, they're going to go ATVing on their own. And I'm not going to have any visibility on what they're doing. And so most organizations ended up with some sort of kind of approach where they sanctioned a few sites and then used their existing firewall or network security infrastructure to block all the unsanctioned generative AI sites. And that kind of became the default behavior, and that kind of the first step on the mature, the AI governance and adoption maturity curve. The issue is that this is a very dynamic space. Sure. New sites are coming online,
time, right?
What
do you think about GPT Atlas?
The sheer number of tools that are coming online on a weekly basis is
crazy.
mind-boggling, right?
It's crazy.
And so, what was true? Your hypotheses about user behavior and what was required, what was appropriate for your organization 6 months ago may not be true today. And the challenge that organizations have is that existing network security telemetry doesn't shed any light on this issue, right? So you don't have any kind of observability capability to answer the question of like, why are users going to ChatGPT versus going to Claude, versus using GitHub Copilot for generating code, et cetera. Those signals are not available, given existing traditional network security infrastructure.
Right, and that's usually role-based, time-based access,
Exactly.
Very much gated, who can't use based off of what their job description is.
Exactly, very, very, very static, very, the opposite of the dynamic, kind of motif that we have with generative AI consumption.
Very cool. So how does Portal26 work when it assesses the organization? How does it monitor and get that?
Yeah, so there are three
gauge?
kind of main pillars to the stool that we provide around adoption management. The first is a discovery of all of the sites that are being accessed by your users, and this is being termed shadow AI.
Right.
And the reason this is important is that your existing, network security infrastructure is very much reliant on static catalogs of URLs and what they're, how they're assessed, right? So if you have a policy in place that is blocking all generative AI sites that aren't in the sanctioned site list, that policy is only as effective as the catalog that the security infrastructure is using to do that blocking. So when we've got dozens or hundreds of new sites that are coming online every week, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for those sites, if even that quickly, to get into those catalogs. So a good example was DeepSeek back earlier this year. January 27th, news hits about DeepSeek and the potential risk involved with that site and how ubiquitous it had become under the radar, under everybody's radar.
Right.
And it turns out that the customers that were using our Shadow AI discovery service actually had identified DeepSeek as a generative AI site on January 5th, a full 3 weeks ahead of when all the news hit and all of the network security vendors suddenly added it to their generative AI catalog.
Whoops.
And so that was a 3-week period, a huge gap where users that you thought maybe were, should have been blocked from going to that site because it's a generative AI site that weren't getting blocked.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential leaked data, particularly given the Chinese security risk.
Absolutely. And
Right.
then even for those organizations that weren't primarily blocking, then the question became, what did we upload? So again, as part of the shadow AI, as part of this discovery, we also started monitoring, our customers also started monitoring the activity of their users against DeepSeek. So they were able to answer the question to internal auditors, to external regulators, et cetera, that there was maybe a couple of potentially sensitive data elements that got leaked, but the risk is de minimis. And they were able to do that without having to go through the fire drill that everybody else in the space had to go through. So that's one of the key benefits that we provide. The second is some analysis of the types of activities that users, the types of use cases that users are trying to execute as they go to a ChatGPT or a Claude or whatever. So obviously you can look at your network logs and see that user Kevin from the development team went to ChatGPT, but you don't know why. Was I just asking a question about how to execute, how to implement something? Was I asking for help debugging some code? Was I asking ChatGPT to generate some code? So these are all separate use cases that you might have different risk tolerances for.
Was he taking a SharePoint folder and putting it up there in a project?
Exactly. So what Portal26 does is it analyzes all of the prompt payloads. So everything that you put into the chat window, everything you upload in terms of an attachment, and then categorize it in terms of the use case.
Okay.
And now you've got a demand signal around why why individual users and teams are going to a specific site to execute a specific function that then you can use to inform your policies as they evolve within the organization.
Sounds good. So obviously we have a lot of government, state, local, federal attendees here today. How does this apply to that public sector market where people are even more reticent to engage with AI and more security focused?
Yeah, I mean, obviously all the same kind of security related questions apply even more so to government agencies. I think one of the big things that's there still is from the conversations I've had with leadership at various government agencies, there is still very much the belief that we got to give our users access to this technology. We got to give them some way to leverage this capability for the productivity gains that are pretty obvious. I think the key thing from a government agency perspective is that the regulatory requirements around the control and the controls that you're going to need are going to start to get pretty prescriptive.
Right.
So these are going to be things like storing all of the conversations in a secure data vault for forensic analysis and investigatory purposes, kind of on a 5-year, 7-year time horizon. So that's I think the requirements around kind of documenting your existing controls and preserving evidence that your existing controls are effective is going to be what drives the organizations to a platform like Portal26.
Sure. And are you guys working with federal contractors? Are you already certified? All the usual fun stuff with the cloud?
Yeah. So we've already done a couple of pilots in GovAI.
Okay.
GovCloud, to prove that the way we deploy this commercially can be deployed in government,
black box
cloud,
world.
cloud environments, and then we've also started the process to get FedRAMP certification. So obviously that'll help them.
Yeah, FedRAMP will help. I was going to ask, what if somebody's? Obviously the cloud's one thing, but some people are still on-prem. Is there any way that they can work with you in that instance?
We are working on an on-prem option that would likely be for the large
DoD kind of environment. Yeah.
Very, very highly secure environments. Yes.
We're not talking about anything we shouldn't talk
agencies,
about. Yes. Go to Langley recently? Just kidding.
No comment.
So what does it really take for somebody to engage Portal26 and get it up and running?
Yeah, I mean, that's the really cool thing. So I've been in this, I've been in the kind of enterprise software deployment space and support space for way longer than I care to admit.
I know the feeling.
And this is by far the easiest solution we've ever had to do, like an instant flash POC. So essentially, if you have something like a Netscope or a Zscaler or a Palo Alto Prisma Access deployed, all we're talking about is a simple configuration of those systems to start sending us the telemetry that lights up our dashboard. So
that's great.
Literally, we're talking a 45-minute session to get this configured and the dashboard start lighting up immediately.
That makes it pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So almost no frictional cost to the organization to get. You might start off with just a 2-week assessment to answer the question: what's happening out there? What sites are users going to? Why are they going, et cetera? And we're there to support you in that endeavor.
So I like to end usually on a futurist question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we've seen so much dynamic change over the next 3 years. I mean, it's really hard to break out that crystal ball, but where do you see things going over the next year or two, maybe?
I mean, clearly the thing that's on everybody's minds is agentic behavior. So the ability to discover and map, agent-to-agent communication, agent-to-data source communication, et cetera. That is, that's at the top of the list in terms of our kind of the next set of major functionality released in the platform.
Wow, who would have thought of agents as users, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a brave new world. I mean, who knows where we're going to be in 18, 24 months? It's like the crystal ball doesn't go out, can't go out, far enough in this area.
Well, I'd like to, when this conversation comes up, I'd like to remind folks that even 14 months ago, we weren't talking about agents on a dramatic level or anywhere near the level that we are now until the whole Salesforce Agentforce launch happened back in 24 that summer, late summer. That was it. It was on.
Yeah, I mean, there is no telling what the what the next big thing is going to be, right? So, and
hopefully
the key
it's
is
not
that
Sora. No Sora.
The key is that you instrument yourself so that you are, as much as possible, you have evidence to make decisions about what your policies should be, what you should allow and not allow.
Sounds good. And by the way, I actually do like using Sora, and I have it on my phone, so I shouldn't be talking smack. So, thank you. Very good, Kevin. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, buddy.
Take care.
Thank you.